Hello and happy Sunday. Welcome back to another episode of Unique Moments where we take a moment to breathe, take a moment to pause, reconnecting our mind, body, and spirit. Today I'm going to be talking about serotonin and just why I think that's important. And when you're on a healing journey, when you're on a spiritual path, so many neurotransmitters that we produce that are very important, but this one in particular, and then next week I'm going to do dopamine just because I think that those they just stood out to me, and I think that they affect us, and I think that there are natural ways that we can get these things that maybe we're not aware of or maybe we're not taking advantage of. So the card we pulled for the episode was yoga, and I'm gonna read the card. And it says, by now, yoga has been in the Western consciousness for decades. Chances are you've taken a class or at least are familiar with some poses. It is a huge subject to explore. Emphasis on huge. For some, it is religious or philosophical, and indeed, this is the practice's origins. For others, it's simply exercises or stretches. As you age, mobility workouts are crucial for fighting against laptop hunching and smartphone stooping. Best to start young and early. Try 15 minutes of yoga each morning. Free videos online make it accessible for everyone. Think of it as a morning stretch, just better. And I love that card. So I have my own origins and experiences with yoga. I talked about it on an episode that how I really got into yoga. I did an internship when I was in college, and I wouldn't say it changed my life, but it opened me up. Like it said, yoga is a huge subject to explore. It's huge. Like it's way more than the poses and the stretching and the namaste and the incense and it is all of that, but it's really a practice that gets you into your body, into your just kind of being present with yourself when you're doing the stretches, when you're doing the different types of breaths that you do, when you're even going to a studio, if you have a studio that you go to. The same is with at home too, but if you go to a studio and you're around other people who are doing the same practice, it just feels like you're doing spiritual work. At least that's how I feel whenever I go. It's different from normal exercise because I think the endorphins that you get are the same, the benefits and the release of feeling accomplished and like you achieve something, that is all there, but um it really gets you into your body. And I know some people who do it just as an exercise, like you do hot yoga or, you do a flow or a core practice to kind of just strengthen your muscles or get more flexible. That's cool too. But I think at the core of it, yoga is a very spiritual thing. Grace writes about her experience with yoga, and we have so many things in common that I really didn't know. I didn't know that she did yoga until I read this post. So on touchedbygrace.blog, she writes about this card more in depth and her experiences with yoga and how that served her. So please go check that out. And I'm going to put the link in the description. And yoga means it's a Hindu spiritual discipline, a part of which including breath control, simple meditation, and the adoption of specific bodily postures is widely practiced for health and relaxation. To join, to yoke, or to unite. But just to join and just to be one and connecting the mind, body, and spirit. Yoga really does that when you're the body, of course, because you're using your body as a vehicle to do the stretches, to do the poses. Your spirit, that comes with the breath part of it. So the whole practice is focus on your breath. Go back to the breath. Yes, you're doing strong postures and poses that you're having to work physically, but your mind should be focused on your breath, not necessarily your breathing patterns, but just the being present. Can you be present with your breath while you're doing all these poses and postures while it burns? Because yoga is kind of a workout. That's why some people use it for exercise. It is definitely a workout depending on the poses that you do. And there are stabilizing exercises, there are core building exercises, there are strength training exercises. You have to have some muscle strength, or you're going to gain some muscle strength if you start doing yoga. And So it's very physical. It is very physical. I have to do with the body, but it's also very mental. Especially they talk about like finding your edge or getting to your edge in a posture or a certain pose, and it's where like you can feel it burning, you can feel the discomfort, but it's like you just stay a little bit longer or you just wait a little bit longer, and that's where you kind of transmute that energy of um you push yourself. I didn't think I could go past this point, but I did. And that's where you realize, oh, it's a mental thing. I am connected to my body. I'm aware that my legs are on fire right now. And I literally feel like I could drop at any moment. But mentally, you stay strong, you persevere, you push through that edge point, and then you reach a new height. Yoga is really about and I'm not the expert in yoga, but to me, for my practice, it's been about overcoming limits that I've set on myself, overcoming places that I thought I couldn't overcome, and it's a really spiritual thing because you can apply it to different areas of your life. If you thought you couldn't hold that posture for one more second and you did it, so what does that say about you? You're stronger than you thought you were. You're more resilient than you thought you were. You have more strength, more energy, more um ability than you thought you were. It's a really divine meeting of self, and I think yoga gets demonized sometimes. I was with a friend, and we were in a park and they were doing yoga in the park, and I don't know where this thing came about of people who are very religious, and some people who are very religious, they see yoga as like a demonic practice, like the poses are demonic or something. And I'm like, where do you get that? But my friend, he said that, and he was like, because I think I made a comment about how, oh, I would want to try to do yoga in the park one day. And he like immediately shot it down and was saying that, be careful. You don't know what those poses mean. That stuff is demonic. And it's like, on the one hand, I want to know where people get this information from, and if they've actually, because if you've never done yoga, if you've never been to a yoga class, have a yoga practice, one, how do you even know what you're talking about? How do you even know what you're talking about? And two, where did that come from? Like, who said this is what this means and that's demonic? Like, there's some cultural appropriation. We could talk about that. We could talk about everyone doing yoga, especially in the Western world, that didn't invent it. We could talk about that. That's a different conversation. But to say that these people who are literally just trying to unite with themselves, that are trying to find their inner stillness, their inner core, their inner strength, their inner yogi, why are these people doing demonic things? Like, because the poses are in a language that you don't understand because you don't read Sanskrit or understand. Like, it's like when people are so quick to demonize things that they don't understand, that bothers me. Because how are you going to say that? People who practice yoga, they're some of the most healthiest, happiest, fit, spiritually sound, emotionally sound, well-rounded people that you will ever meet. And it's because they have a deep, cultivated practice of coming to their mat, of working their things out, of pushing themselves, of of reaching new heights and new levels, and strengthening themselves, strengthening their minds, strengthening their bodies, and really just challenging and persevering and doing hard things. And so I admire anyone who does yoga. I recommend yoga. Um, it's a great way, like the card was saying, to practice mobility, especially when you're getting older. You're losing muscle mass. Your muscles are deteriorating or they're becoming weaker. Like it any practice that gets into the body and allows you to stretch, and it's so healing. That's the thing. If it's saying it's a huge subject, like, yes, beyond the flexibility, beyond the mental component, like it's healing for your health. There are certain stretches and certain poses that will ground you, that will release stress, that will release tension, that will release anger and anxiety, and it's connected very deeply to your emotions, to your inner state. Yoga is a very inwardly working practice with yourself. Yeah, you go and you meet people and y'all are all on your mats and you're connecting and you're, getting along with the instructor and yada yada yada. But it's a really personal practice. It's a really deep personal journey, if you will. That's why they call it a practice. I love things that are practice, like meditation. It's a practice because it's like you're never done. You're never done. Quite literally, every day, every time you set foot on your mat, every time you sit to meditate, it's something new. It's a new level that you're unlocking within yourself. And you may go backwards, and I think it's just an appreciation of, okay, my practice where I'm at today. And it's like non-judgmental. If you can't do the stretches, if you're not as flexible, it's like no one's judging you. It's between you and you. Like, you showed up today. What did you come to do? What did you come to prove to yourself that you could do today? So recommend yoga, 10 out of 10. Hot yoga I really like as well. Yeah, it's just a great way to connect with yourself and connect with your body. And tying that into serotonin, yoga and exercise is a natural way to boost serotonin. So, serotonin, responsible for a lot of things, but also mainly responsible for your mood, which is what I think most people associate it with. If you have low serotonin levels, it's probably common that you have a depression, or that you have low energy, or that you have some sort of irregulation or imbalance with your mood going on if you have a low levels of serotonin. So I think my main goals for talking about this was just to promote natural ways of boosting serotonin. Nothing against medication, nothing against people who have to take antidepressants or things to lift your mood. But I've always been, even when I was younger, I don't really like taking like a lot of medicine and shots and things. Like, I'm very like natural, holistic remedies. What can we do? Is there herb? Is there a recipe? Is there a homemade concoction? Something that we can do? Is there a food? Is there a fruit? Is there a plant? Is there something that we can do to cure this naturally? And so that's what I was doing research on, is how can we naturally increase serotonin? Because I think when you look around, it's no secret. I mean, depending on the environments and spaces that you're in, I've been to places where, people are very happy and they're smiling and they're active and they're doing things. But then you go to some places, but even just encountering some people just in day to day passing, like, you can tell the people who have this just like sad kind of like persona, and it's not like something just happened to me, I'm sad. It's like a general like film. It's like a filter that they have, like a sad filter, like a depression filter. And granted, while everything warrants that, like, arguably life is not the best it's ever been. It's not the roaring 20s, it's not the whatever. But I don't know, like, it's scary. Like, I was in the store this morning, and the lady who was checking me out, and granted, it's early, like, maybe you don't want to come to work today, maybe you have everything's whatever, maybe you're still waking up, maybe you didn't have your coffee. But it was just like the vibe that I was getting from her. It was just like, you don't want to be here. And I don't even know, like, it's not even you don't want to be here today. It's like, I don't think you want to be here. Like, I couldn't find a single, like, I want to say like spark or like light or something. And it's just like, I've been noticing that lately, just with anywhere that I go. I'm like noticing the people who are, serving me, or the people who are just tending to the things. Like, how is your mood? Like, are you okay? That's that question I want to ask. I'm like, are you okay? Because they don't look okay. People don't look okay. And arguably it could be a lot of other things that don't have anything to do with their serotonin levels, but I bet you it has something to do with it, because it's a mood stabilizer. It also controls a lot of other things like your appetite and helping you feel full, and your body temperature, but mainly it's your mood. It's, are you happy? Are you satisfied? That's the better word. Are you content, and are you satisfied with life? If you're content and you're satisfied with life, you're satisfied with yourself, then your serotonin levels are probably good. And the thing that really blew my mind, just like a little small side tidbit, is when I learned, I think I was watching a YouTube video, and someone was explaining how you when we go to sleep, our serotonin, like our body naturally, our amazing, magnificent bodies that are infinitely intelligent, more than we could ever fathom, it converts the neurotransmitter serotonin making you happy, energized, content, happy, satisfied, all the things, to melatonin, which is the sleep hormone and gets you ready for bed and helps you to prepare for sleep. And then um, it does it all over again. So the serotonin converts to melatonin, and then you go to bed. And then when you wake up, that melatonin has converted back to serotonin, essentially giving you like a full bar for the day. So it's technically no medications aside, no, lifestyle choices aside. If we're going to bed on time, if we're getting to bed on time, if we're sleeping an adequate amount for whatever our body needs, like we should be in good moods when we wake up. Like if we go to bed, our serotonin has been refilled. So we wake up with a full tank of serotonin, ready to take on the day. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy. I'm smiling. I'm ready for the day. And then you've used all of that serotonin, whether it's working, visiting with friends, smiling, shopping, doing whatever you love. Like you're using all that serotonin, all of that happy, satisfied, good mood energy. And then you're tired. If you've worked, and not just a job, but if you've done work for the day, if you've put out energy, if you've expended time and energy and love and passion and creativity and something that you like to do, or spending time around someone or loved ones, then like you should be depleted. At the end of the day, you've used up all that serotonin that's converted back into melatonin, and now we're ready for bed. And now we can do the whole thing all over again. And when I realized that, it was like this light bulb like went off. I was like, one, not only is that super cool that like that happens and we don't even have to do anything, that just happens, but it helped me connect the dots between, and these are not all the dots, there are many, many dots, but people who may have insomnia and they're not sleeping at night, and got me thinking about, okay, what's the correlation with that and depression? Because if you're not sleeping at night, which means either your brain or your gut is not producing the melatonin that it needs, and so you're not naturally getting sleepy or what have you. And so like then you're staying up because you have insomnia, because you're not tired, and then you're depleted during the day, not only because you're tired, but like your serotonin is low, your mood is low. And so it's like a few cycles of that, like, oh, what's wrong? I can't sleep, I'm depressed, I'm tired. Like it's like not as simple as, oh, just go to bed and like find something that you love to do during the day and repeat that. It's like it very much is that simple, because like that's how it should naturally be, but that's not the way of life, so that was just a cool little fact that I literally am just like, wow, like wow. But I looked up some natural ways to increase serotonin because like I said, nothing against medication, but it's like my thing with that is, are you supposed to be on antidepressants all your life? Like, do they make it to where do they make it to where you're good? Like, if I saw that, then I'd be like, okay, like, people can take the SSRIs and, do their thing for a little bit. And then when everything's back to normal, they can throw the pills away. But for my research, it seems like people who have depression like often have it for a while, like a long time throughout their life. And it could just be, simply neurotransmitter like brain imbalance, and it's just not producing and you need assistance, and maybe you'll need assistance for the rest of your life. But again, I just am like, okay, if I'm trying to return to like my most natural state of alignment, something has to go, something has to give. So some of the natural ways to increase your serotonin levels naturally: exercise, yoga, like I said, going outside, getting in the sunlight. That's another thing. 9 times out of 10 probably is, and that's probably not an accurate number, but people who are depressed and you have insomnia, you probably don't go outside that often, and you're probably vitamin D deficient. Granted, the whole world is probably vitamin D deficient, but you get the point. You get the point. So going out in sunlight, being in the sun, spending time in the sun, natural serotonin booster, laughing, getting a massage, doing things that make you feel good, being selfless, giving to charity, volunteering, paying for a stranger's coffee. Like the little payoff in that is that boost in serotonin. And And essentially that can carry you throughout the day. Honestly, sometimes you do a thing or someone says a thing and it makes your whole day. And it's like there's that boost, there's that mood boost of like, like life is worth living. Like I'm content. I'm happy now for whatever happened. And then the biggest way is just doing something you love, doing something that you're passionate about, whether it's dancing, singing, cooking, reading, hanging out with your friends, going out to dinner, being in nature, going on bike rides. Something that you really, really love to do is going to naturally give you boosts of serotonin because you're happy, you're content, you're satisfied, you're not worried about XYZ. You're focused, you're present on what I'm doing in the moment because it means so much to you, because it's important to you. So that's another natural way to just boost your serotonin, is literally just to do the things that you like to do, hang out with the people that you like to hang out with. Also being spiritual, being religious, believing in a higher power, devoting yourself to that higher power, that is a natural boost in serotonin, because again, it goes with the selfless thing. You're giving your time, your energy, your attention toward the God that you believe in, toward the God that you pray to. And that's rewarding within itself. If you have a spiritual practice or a connection to God, you know that it fills you. There's nothing more that you need. It's just that. It's just God. And so when you have a practice, or when you have a religion or something that you hold on to, something that you believe in that's greater than yourself, very powerful serotonin booster. Very powerful. So I think I think that was all I had on serotonin. And I think it fluctuates. I think it all works together. The eating the right foods, eating dark leafy greens, eating vegetables, eating things that help you to produce serotonin. But I think it's less of that and just more, again, with the holistic eating correctly, getting exposed to sunlight, doing activities that you actually like doing, going to bed on time so that that melatonin can convert into that serotonin, and genuinely just living a life that I think that you're proud of. And sometimes that can be difficult depending on where you are in life and depending on what you're doing. But I think at the end of the day, it's doing things that you feel content in doing, and things that satisfy you, and things that make you happy, eating food that makes you happy. Um, Maybe that's more dopamine, but anyways, you get the point. You get the picture. That was all I had for today. So until next time.